Hello and welcome to episode 2 of You Joking Aren't You, which is Middlesbrough FC's official podcast, and we've got a very, very special guest today. He was a fan of the club, he was a player of the club, he was captain of the club, and he's also been manager of the club, and it is, of course, the legend that is Tony Mowbray. Mogger, welcome to our episode.
Great to
Obviously, I'm joined by the big man, David Wheater.
Yep. We've gone big, haven't we?
We've gone big.
Second episode.
It's making me... Yeah, we've gone massive. We can't go anywhere after this, can we?
I said to him where we're going.
It's the end of the podcast today. And used to making me look small as well, which is always a job. But first of all, Mogger, how are you doing? How are you?
I'm good, health-wise. Oh, I say, listen, what is it? It's Monday today. Tuesday, tomorrow I'm in Manchester for a scan. So you have them every 6 months. I had one after my treatment, basically. After I finished my chemotherapy, I had a scan and everything was clear. The cancer had all left my body. This is my second go. So tomorrow I'll have a scan. I've spoke to the doctors because they were going to leave it for 6 days before telling you what the scan showed, and I've told them that I need to know tomorrow night, really. And he's going to phone me tomorrow night, let me know what the scan's showing. Hopefully it'll be all clear. And I wanted to do things quickly because I've had quite a few calls over the last few weeks and even last 6 weeks or so from clubs who were changing their manager and they wanted to know what I'm doing, how's my health, am I ready to go? And the answer to everybody has been no. I can't take a job until I've got the all clear. You know, it's no good going into work and then, you know, like tomorrow I get a scan that shows that some cancer's still there and I need to go back under treatment. So fingers crossed everything's all right tomorrow, the scan's clear and I can think about getting back to work. And
there's been some good jobs come up.
Yeah, well, and I know about most of them because the reality is that I do get phone calls from these clubs that have been up the last 4, 5, 6 weeks, and I was sitting on the beach with the wife on holiday after I finished my treatment and the phone rang, and it's I don't think it's probably right that I mention which clubs have talked because generally they move on when you say, listen, I've got a scan in 4 weeks or 5 weeks or whatever it is, and they can't wait. It's generally they're having a poor season, the ones who lose their managers or leave their managers, change their manager, and so they can't wait 4 or 5 weeks for me to give them an all clear.
So the good news is you're back, you're ready, you feel like you're ready to go again.
As long as the scan's okay tomorrow, I'll be ready to go, and if the phone rings, then I'll be able to go and have discussions and see whether it feels right for me or them.
Well, that's great news. We wish you all the best in that. I'm sure you won't be waiting long. Have you got a favourite memory? Just one favourite memory? Before we start talking about your playing career and managerial career, have you just got one favourite memory overall? Of anything?
Middlesbrough? Well, I think the successes, I suppose. Isn't it? I think the bookends of my career was a debut against Kevin Keegan at St James's Park and Mickey Shannon, and the very end was a Wembley playoff. I know you did. You scored the first goal, didn't you, off the crossbar?
I scored 2.
Right,
so I was.
Backside,
I don't think the first one got down to me, but you scored the equaliser from a header.
Yeah, I did. I've got the picture. I was showing it to the girl who came to do this podcast for me. This pro license thing she did this morning at my home. But I've got a brilliant picture of me towering above 2 of your defenders and.
It was a great header, to be fair.
Corner,
it was a great header.
You weren't one of the defenders, were you?
No, he wasn't. I'm trying to think.
Is one of
them called Smithy?
Yeah.
David Dunn knew him pretty well.
That's right, yeah. So he was on loan from Blackburn at the time.
Oh, was he? Okay.
Young Smithy. And we normally played with Steve Chettle, who was one of them. He might have played it. Chris Morgan.
Chris Morgan was the other one that was in the picture, you see.
Well, if he's in the picture and you've towered over him, you've done well.
He's not jumping, actually. He's actually bent over as if he'd been pushed.
So you pushed him.
I didn't push him.
Is that the Sheffield United lad?
Yeah.
Oh, he was horrible.
He was
a beast to grab you and all
sorts.
Beast
of a man, wasn't
he? Big old thing.
Lovely fella, don't get me wrong. You know,
he
was a really nice lad, and I've got a lot of time for Morgs. But on the pitch, he just loses his head.
That was my last ever game of football.
Well, I couldn't believe that because I'd heard that day before yesterday. I'd read it, and I thought that's the last ever game of football.
Yeah.
And I
so the day before we kicked off the Premier League season, the next year was going to be Tottenham away. I'm in the team. We're doing 11v11 on the pitch at Ipswich, Portman Road, and after training, I go to see George Burley, and say, George, I don't think I can do it. I was 37. I don't think I can do it. Premier League. Nah, I don't think so. And he'd only just signed Herman Riderson because he knew I was coming towards the end. And he said to me, Oh, thank God you came and told me that. And listen, I think he liked my voice. I could organise, but I couldn't turn and run. It was hard. It was at 37. I knew it myself, and I just felt I had to go and tell him. I think it's best we start with Herman, and even though he hadn't been doing the work with the team, so the day before that season kicked off, I decided to quit football, and I'd been coaching with George for a couple of years. Listen, it was the right decision. We finished 5th in the Premier League that year. Had a great season, and but yeah, that was Wembley appearance was my last ever game, and I scored. So bookended it with Kevin Keegan, which is he was European Footballer of the Year a couple of times, and
so was that your debut for Boro?
Debut for Boro, yeah.
Keegan? What score was it?
1 each.
Was it?
Yeah, 1 each. Darren Wood scored with a volley. Mickey Shannon scored for Newcastle, but it was still a full house at St James's for my debut. Was a great occasion, and then to end the career scoring a goal at Wembley at full house was great as well.
Yeah. So when you look back to the start of your career, how different's football now to the start of it?
It's a different sport almost, isn't it? I mean, I was brought up on scything people from behind, really, and thinking if you get any contact on the ball, whether you've smashed him first or not, it was fine, it was okay, play on. You could just come right through the back of players. It was.
And you still used to do
that?
That's right. My last few years, I couldn't move as well.
But everybody played 4-4-2 when I started. Everybody played. So you always knew who you were marking, what your job was. Nobody played at 10. As we started to move forward, teams started developing. Cantona had come to the country, played at Leeds, won the league, and then went to United. And all of a sudden, teams were playing a player behind, and we didn't know whether the fullback was going to come in and mark him. Was I expected to leave this guy and go and step in? Was there in the midfielder going to mark? Who was going to mark the number 10? Whose job was it? It was really interesting, and that's why I put a lot of stock in Rioch, to be honest. He was the flicking the light in my brain to make me think about space on the pitch and where to play, and the passes and the movement of rotating inside to get the full back in and stuff like that. And Bruce was the first coach who ever said, stop, stand still, move the ball one pass, what pitches change, where do you go, right? Because before that, every game was get stuck in, win your battles against the centre forward, win your headers, clean sheets, nobody telling you where to pass it. Hopefully you had a big striker and you just lump it up to him, really. But Rioch was the first guy who moved the midfield around. If you break into there and you drift wide, where are you going to go? It was really.
Were you always interested in that side of the game?
Well, from then I was. Yeah. Because as a young player, 18, 19, 20, football was really hard at this club. We just sold Craig Johnson, David Hodgson, David Armstrong, Mark Proctor, and the young players were starting to come in. And I always remember thinking, if we go 1-0 down, we can't win. We cannot win. We haven't got the players to score 2 goals. It was a slog. Football, for 3 or 4 years when I first started, football was a slog. Malcolm Allison had me playing left back. Left back.
Quite a few years right back.
No,
nothing worse, is it?
No, Tony played right back.
I remember playing Carl Harris for Charlton. He's right winger. He's the fastest. He's like a whippet, Carl Harris. And Malcolm Allison's playing me left. I don't know whether he did it to try and embarrass me sometimes. You know what I mean? Because Irving Nattrass wasn't coming over to cover behind me. You know what I mean? It was just a foot race, and I had to foul him and put my arm in his face and pull him back. And it was. I'd come home, and I think for maybe 2 or 3 years I would never go out on a Saturday night ever, because the team was so average. Another 0-0 or a 1-0 defeat or a 2-0 defeat. I wouldn't go out in Redcar or Saltburn. I used to go to Fillmore's in Saltburn as a young footballer, but too many nights people were just telling you how crap it was today at the match.
Did you take our problem? Yeah. Well, going out when that year we got relegated. Yeah, honestly, did you just come up to you? Are we going to be all right? I was like, yeah, we'll be fine. We're fine. We just kept sinking down.
Yeah. Did you take the game home with you?
Yeah,
did you switch off
I took it home because I remember not being able to go out because I thought, I'm not going out just to get abused by loads of people. And probably the people from Teesside care that much about the football team. They're going to let you know what they thought. Yeah. Every game was a slog, as I said. You were going to go down, there's no way you could win. You would have to pray for a penalty or a sloppy, scrappy goal from a corner. We didn't have the quality at the top end of the pitch to score goals and win matches. And it wasn't until 86 really, and everything changed, and anybody earning any sort of cash at the football club moved on, and basically the youth team, half the youth team from the year before, got pushed up to play along.
What were you thinking in 86 when that was happening? Were you thinking this might be a time for me to go, or could you see?
I never thought of leaving, to be honest. I was never, and football was a bit different. That you'd get called upstairs at Ayresome Park. Bruce's office would be upstairs next to near the secretaries, and you'd go up the stairs and you'd tap on the door. You'd wait for him to call you in, and you'd sit down, and it's just his desk and you never knew what was coming. Now, Bernie was telling me the other day that story. I'm sure he's told everybody the story of. He thought he was getting a new contract, and Rioch gave him a piece of paper with.
I think I've heard that about 20 times.
Pass the ball here. Yeah. Terrible with your head. Stay on side. Do this, and it's. But we weren't getting paid basically, or we had to go to the town hall, and you'd get a little brown envelope from a lassie behind the desk in the town hall, and your salary of mine was 16 quid when I first started. 16 quid for my mum because I lived at home, and 16 quid in a little brown envelope, and.
But you still didn't think
about
leaving or anyone.
Nobody had agents. I never had an agent, so it's a different era. So how would you know? Bruce, if he didn't want to sell you, he would never tell you somebody had phoned up, and there was no such thing as an agent. Maybe the odd one for a superstar. Gazza probably had an agent in '86. You know what I mean? But it's no, you wouldn't know. Polly went in '89 when agents were starting to come, and he had loads of agents in his ear telling him so and so are interested, so and so are interested. All I would do was read on the back of the Gazette, Everton were at the game, and they were watching Mowbray and Pallister and blah blah blah, and you didn't know.
When did you get a feeling that '86 team was going to be a special side?
I just lived it really. I didn't get a feeling, to be honest. It's great now looking back at when you see of the balance of what a good player Colin Cooper was, and Parky was a powerhouse, and Pallister and myself, and then Gary Hamilton, who would tackle his granny and run around and smash into people. But Slaven up front, I was telling him, it was just amazing. He'd play off that right hand side and cut in on his left foot and bend it in off the far post, and he was some finisher. He passed it into the net rather than smashing it. But Ripley on the right with genuine pace. We were a really good football team, but they were really young lads. It was probably good for us that we got relegated into the what is now the first division, the third tier, because the young players could cope on that energy, athleticism, and no shortage of talent, but grew into it really. And then obviously the following year via the playoffs we got to what is now the Premier League, the first division, and with still a very young team. I was probably one of the oldest. I know Archie came. But one of the oldest at 22, so by the time they got to the top division, I might have been 24.
Well, you were skipper at 22, weren't you?
Yeah, I was, yeah. And I think that was just because I told you all these more senior players left. I think anybody who was genuinely earning anything more than a few £100, they had to go. They didn't have any money. And
yeah, but Bruce must have seen something in you. So you were obviously a leader right from the off. So you must have seen that in you to say, right, he's 22, but I want him to lead, and obviously that.
Every time I bump into Bernie, he says, it's son of Bruce, how are you doing today? Son of Bruce.
Who was it? Pally, wasn't it, who didn't get on with Bruce?
Pally and Slav. Slav respected him because he knew he needed a strong hand to keep him on track, really. And so he didn't mind getting dug out every now and then because he thought he needed it and slapped back down to earth. Because, when you're doing so well as young lads, it's easy to take advantage of that and go out and everybody wants to have a picture, everybody wants an autograph, and Polly didn't necessarily like the way Bruce Polly hadn't had an upbringing, had he? He hadn't gone through an apprenticeship, he hadn't done all that.
He just came from Billingham, didn't he?
He came from Billingham, he'd been working in an office, and he just turned up, and he didn't have all the natural footballing etiquette, really, respect, knocking on the door before you go in the first team dressing room. I used to do all of that. I used to look after Hodgie's gear. If Hodgie wouldn't train unless he had white socks, white shorts and a white shirt every day, when it was all just crammed into a big hamper basket, and you had to, as apprentices, you had to go and get the kit out and pick your player's kit out.
He still looks lovely now. Have you seen him? He's always
immaculate.
Yeah, isn't he?
You wouldn't have had any of that.
No,
so you'd have stopped doing that. You wouldn't been able to do that, would you?
I cleaned Johnson's, the Scottish Alan Johnson. Alan Johnson. I cleaned his boots for a bit, but then I got in the team. Right, but I wanted to ask you about being captain, were you happy to be captain at that age? Because I got it, Southgate gave it to me when I think I was 21. And I thought I was quite quiet.
Oh, did you just top Tony there?
That's all right, it's good.
Did you just come on and top Tony?
You might have been 22.
You might have been 22.
I was 21. 21 sounds better, doesn't it? But I didn't want it.
No.
I thought I was quite quiet. I didn't really speak in the changing room. So I thought...
Do you think he gave it to you for a reason then? To bring you out your shell?
I think if I wasn't a local lad, I don't think I'd have got it, to be honest. But... I was happy. I thought more of my family. I thought my granddad, my granddad.
Of course,
I thought my granddad will buzz off this.
Yeah.
But I didn't really want it, to be honest. Did you want it, or proud to
have it?
Yeah,
it wasn't a burden on me, I don't think. No. I think the team was so young, and apart from maybe signing Archie from wherever they signed him, Bristol Rovers or whatever, I was probably one of the oldest in the team, and. It felt quite natural. I don't think you walk around thinking, I'm the leader, I'll make all the decisions. Yeah. You are who you are, really. Yeah. And we from a council estate in Redcar, Dad would go to the Lakes Club every night of his life, but what he brought was values and respect, and always respect elders, always respect females, and I spent my life trying to be courteous and spoke well. And I think Bruce's upbringing, his dad was a sergeant major in the army, probably saw the qualities in me that he thought could be captain material, and yet it wasn't until he really got the coaching ethos sorted that I didn't. He was the first manager that I had who'd ever, even Malcolm Allison, we were playing table tennis with Malcolm Allison, and it was more about reactions, diving to stop the ball, hitting the floor and stuff, rather than tactics. Big Jack, God love him, he would have the ball, he would bounce it in front of me and saying, you just put it on that corner there, David Curry, you chase that, get after it. And that, that was the tactics really. Yeah. Bounce it, you hook it over the top, David, you get after it, chase, run in there. And it, as I said, Bruce came and sort of stopped it after every pass, made a movement. Where's the defender going to go if you come off the line and come inside now?
See, some players would want that and would love that. And I was one of them who loved the coaching bit. Yeah. But some players would find that really boring and switch off, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
What sort of ratio in that squad would listen? Or was it because they were all young lads?
I think all of them listened, I think. And I think that's a credit to their... So as mates now, to that whole team created a bond the way you're friends forever. Even sat next to Hammy at the game at the weekend. They just love football. And I think Rioch was the right guy at the right time with a really young team. That in the period of football it was in '86. So I had a very young team at Sunderland 2 years ago. Average age 21.3, I think it was. Different, because Bruce was a bully with Pally and stuff. Ferocious at times. His neck would strain and his veins would pop out of his head. He's shouting and he's effing and blinding and... Oh my God! You, in my opinion, you can't do that now with players. You have
it changes.
You have to take them along. You have to give them confidence, encourage them, talk about all the good things that they do, show them the things that they could improve on the video. But very, very rarely would I ever F and blind and scream at my players. Whereas Bruce did that pretty regularly. He'd have his big boots on with his studs on and joining in training. And anybody he did was after, he was kicking them. Yeah. And I think those are... Pally wasn't happy with stuff like that. Bernie wasn't happy with stuff like that, and I can understand it. And yet, listen, I was never getting kicked by Bruce. It was Paul Kerr and Bernie Slaven and Nucky Bear. The ones who we thought could work harder. All the technicians, really. Yeah. Probably he'd have kicked you if you were there. You know what I mean?
He wouldn't. He'd have loved me.
I hope so, but. I just, listen, son of Bruce, for no reason, I would never, I just was the person I was, and I tried to live as I do today with good values, integrity, be honest, be hardworking, respect everybody who deserves your respect. And I've talked about having wrong-uns in the dressing room. Sometimes you have to get them out, you've got to move them on.
What do you class as a wrong-un? Just a bad influence, or somebody who doesn't live by the standards that...
No, listen...
integrity and all that stuff, or is it someone who...
No, I don't try and dictate. I don't try and dictate their lives. For me, it's the guys who drain the energy out of the team. Everything's wrong. Yeah. Everything. Why are we... So I went to West Brom and I had 5 or 6 of them, and because Brian Robson had been the manager before, and I think he had experienced players who could do the job, even though they'd been relegated. There they were in the Championship, sitting mid-table after a dozen games. I got there, they wanted to finish at 11:30. Gaffer, I've got 2 hours to go to North London. Gaffer, I've got to go to Manchester. I've got to get home. I've got my driver waiting. It was almost as if I had to pander to them and accommodate them to get home. And what about the football team? One player said to me, we don't do any sprints on a Friday, Gaffer. No, we're not doing that. And one player at that football club at that time took his boots off when I told him he was going on. 85 minutes, sitting in the dugout, took his boots off and put them down, didn't even look at me. So, listen, that's the sort of players I was dealing with. Are they wrong uns? Yeah, because they had to come and watch the video of Saturday's game on Monday afternoon. They weren't happy because they had to. Training went beyond 12:30. They weren't happy because they didn't have, I don't know, tomato ketchup on the dinner table. They weren't happy. Everything was wrong. Yeah. Why was this? Why are we training here? Why aren't we having a day off there? What do you mean we're in on Sunday morning? Why are we doing this? Oh, lads, listen, go somewhere else and mourn. And I'll bring Chris Brunt in and James Morrison in, and we just got on with it, and we won the league without them.
I actually was done the game. You got promoted at Doncaster away.
Yeah, that was Blackburn Rovers, wasn't it?
No, I think it was with West Brom years ago. This was years ago. I think Doncaster away.
I think
I was doing 5 Live, and you got promoted.
All right.
On that day.
I think. Are you sure? Because I've got a picture at.
It was definitely West Brom.
QPR with West Brom when we got handed the trophy.
That might have been the week after.
We might have got promoted and won the league, I think. Probably won the league the week after, So
it was, but I remember watching your side and it was streets ahead, but they were so powerful and energetic. Yeah. It was a really good side.
Yeah. Brunty was good. We had Zoltan Gira. So Zoltan played off the right, Brunty off the left. Brunty was just whipping in. You had Kevin Phillips arriving through the middle and Zoltan Gira arriving at the back stick. You had Morrison controlling the middle. Morrison had played in the game in Eindhoven, hadn't he? Not long before, and yet we managed to sign him.
I was obviously in the academy with him all the way through. I couldn't believe we sold him and not digging him out, but we got Gary O'Neill instead. Who's going to score you more goals?
Well, you have just digged him out. Don't mind You've just digged him out.
Put your hands over your eyes.
I'm not going to dig him out, but I'm going to dig him out.
But nah, it's a bad swap, that, isn't it? Brunty, I thought Brunty was class. There's no left footer like
this. Paid $3 million for Chris Brunt.
That was unbelievable.
I believe recruitment is the most important part of your management. Yes, your man management. Yes, your training. You've got to get recruitment right, because if you haven't got the right quality footballer, you ain't going to get promotion.
How do you deal with the recruitment side of it, Tony? Do you go and watch players, or do you hear about things, or do you go off agents and send people to watch people?
You'd have to say it's changed dramatically over the 20 years I've managed. We used to do it all ourselves, really, at the start, 2004. I wouldn't sign a player without watching him. So I signed ones I knew. David Murphy really is a case for me. But then, even in 2006, I was signing Brunty and signing Morrison. As the years roll on, I started doing video analysts, basically, and we would give them leagues to watch as the marketplace started to move out into Europe. Initially, you'd just start with positional, so you'd have one analyst looking for attacking players, centre forwards, wide attackers. You'd have another analyst looking for centre halves and full backs, and another analyst looking for midfield players, both creative and destructive. And then when they wrote reports and filled in the sheets that we'd have, where we'd give them scores out of 100 and stuff, if they hit over a certain mark, then I would generally send Vino to watch them first, and he'd come back and say, Gaffer, you got to go and see him. We should sign him. And then I would go and try and see him, and then we'd get it done. Today, it's so much more difficult because you're trying to cover the whole world today. Even in the Championship, you're trying to sign the best Argentinian kids. You know, my brother's head of recruitment at Southampton. He's always in Brazil, in Argentina, and he did the Copa America. Where
sounds
he was,
all right, doesn't it?
Well, I say that to him, but he's basically you're stuck in airports most of the time, to be honest. But I think the job recruitment has changed massively. The lad who I first ever met in 2004, when I got picked up from the airport at Hibernian to go and have my interview with the board at Hibernian, John Park picked me up. He was at Hibs. He'd found Kevin Thompson and Scott Brown and Gary O'Connor, Derek Ryden, Stephen Whittaker. And then when he went to Celtic, he found Virgil van Dijk who else? Moussa Dembele. He signed lots of top players for Celtic, and I had him at Blackburn with me. I would try and take him wherever I can. He was at Birmingham, my last job with me, and.
How important is it to have people who you know?
Well, people who know what you like. I think I like footballers who get turned on their first touch if they can and look forward and pass forward. I don't like midfield players who keep going back to the centre half. Players who are not as good with the ball as them. Why? I understand control and going backwards and controlling and waiting for a press, but I want midfield players to play forward. I want them to run forward. I want the wide attackers, the wide wingers, whatever you want to call them, to get on the ball and commit people and take them on, because that's what they're in our team for.
Is football as exciting now, Tony, do you think?
Oh, well, listen, totally, I'm sitting here, it can be a little bit boring at times.
Well, that's what I was going to ask. I don't like watching football no more, to be honest.
It's not all of it.
I've been around football and the lads bantering stuff,
and are you in your mind blaming Pep Guardiola? Because I know German football blame Pep Guardiola for almost because they turned Bayern Munich into this passing machine that never gave the ball away. Had nearly 1,000 passes every game and won everything. And yet he's come to City, and for 8 years he's done exactly the same. And you get, with total respect, Doncaster Rovers trying to play exactly the same way, and Fleetwood Town and Crawley Town.
What do you think when you see these teams trying to play that way? Because surely you've got horses for courses, and if you haven't got players who can do that, then surely you can't play that way, regardless of your philosophy.
My teams play, whoever I've got, my teams play low risk, build up really. I think it's right to try and build up, take your short goal kicks into the box. If you basically assess how good the opposition are at the press, if they get their press badly wrong, you're going to slice through them and you're going to have overloads at the top end of the pitch and you're going to score. Most teams today are pretty well coached, I think. I watched the Boro game at the weekend. I think Blackburn are extremely well coached out of possession. They made sure they weren't overloaded in midfield. They made sure that the 10 couldn't find the ball. The centre forward couldn't come back right down into the line and get on the ball. The centre halves were stepping all the way in with them. There was no easy pass. Some teams, I watched us play against Luton. Disaster. Their press was a disaster. They didn't have a clue. They tried to play man for man and left Latte Lat up front with a player like me who's found it hard to turn and run, and he just killed them. It was like, if you get the press wrong, you are in trouble. Now, most teams are getting the press pretty well organised and when to press. How many passes do you let them? Do you press on the first pass forward? Do you go straight at it from the edge of the box as they play to the centre half in the box? I used to watch the opposition, figure how good they were, decide whether we would. So I wouldn't press Man City if I was playing Man City. But we pressed Southampton, who were probably the best team. We beat them 5-0. And probably 4 of them goals were before they even got near the halfway line. We'd won it with 2 passes and we rammed it in their net. 5-0.
Do you think the gulf between the Championship and even the bottom of the Premier League to normal Premier League, like established Premier League teams, is too big?
Too big. I think so. I think the power, the pace. You'd have to say, do you think the coaching? When
you get to that level, does it? You have to have a way of playing. That's
look at Forest, for instance. I know they're different than normally this year, aren't they? Because they're sitting 3rd in the league. But look at the quality of their recruitment of their ball carriers, really. So they're going to play a counter-attacking game like they do. So they don't really play ball possession. A bit like when Leicester won the Premier League in 2015. They let you have it, but on the transition, they've got 4 players who can travel like the whip it with the ball and break, and the other 3 are running and they just slip each other in. They've got Chris Wood at the top if they go wide and they cross it in. They are it's an amazing way to be so successful. You know, who are the Hudson-Odoi, Alanga, who's the kid who played for England who came from Wolves. But a ball carrier, it plays 10.
Ward-Prowse is there,
No, he's gone now. But I know you mean the lad who plays in behind.
But what a point I'm trying to make is they've got a style, and it's transition, ball travelling transition, ball carriers who don't pass their way up the pitch, they run their way up the pitch, they put it in your box and they score, and then they naturally defend with 10 men behind the ball, and they're just waiting for a loose pass or somebody to nick it, and they're off. The ball travellers are running again.
So as a manager, and when you're out of work and you get the call, so-and-so's interested, will you watch 3 or 4 videos of that team before you go and decide how best to set them up?
It's been happening to me this week, to be honest, and somebody asked me the very same question. Have you been watching them? Or Gaffer, we were talking about that earlier on. I get called Gaffer still. Gaffer, do you want me to watch some games for you? And I'm going, listen, I've told them when my scans are. I can't take the job before then. It's whether they want to wait with a temporary manager or not. Am I the one they want, or have they got other choices? Because if they've got 3 or 4 choices, good luck to them. I wouldn't go and watch loads of games of them, no, because I don't have that. There's not that desperation for me of, I need a job and I need to start well. Yeah. What I need to do is, when I talk in interviews to people, I need to find the personality of the players before I can even make a judgment. So when I watch Match of the Day or I watch a game live on Sky, I see a player, I think, wow, what a talent. He might be an absolute and I'll be getting rid of him, however good he is, in my opinion.
Morgan can say that.
I do apologise.
No, but he wasn't. No, he wasn't.
No, he wasn't.
He did get
no,
rid of
Weeks was never.
That's what I want to. Yeah.
No, listen, it's okay for the All Blacks to call him. But no. Bottom line, these drainers, these energy sappers, really, you can't have them in your dressing room, in my opinion. I've felt it and I've seen it, and the lads who sit on the fence, because we've all got personalities now. Some have got strong personalities, have their own opinion, and they're not even listening to them lads. Some lads sit on the fence and they're saying, we shouldn't be training then. I'm going in to tell him I'm not coming in Sunday. Sunday, they're having a laugh at you. I'm out with my missus Sunday dinner. Some lads will go, oh yeah, right, I agree, Sunday dinner, yeah, I'm not coming in Sunday. Some lads, in my opinion, get overly swayed by these 2 or 3 in your dressing room that, in my opinion, you need to remove. Because I'm not trying to have it. If you were a footballer and me, I come in and have a cup of tea, have a chat. What are you thinking? What's going on? What do you think? What's the lads thinking? If you were the leader in the dressing room, I'm talking to the players constantly. Managers don't live in the dressing room. They don't. I very rarely ever go in the players' training ground dressing room. I don't. So I don't know who's moaning, who's whinging. But you have to have. You have to have your captain. So you give the captain's job, in my opinion, to somebody you have got a level of trust with. Yeah. It doesn't have to be your mate, but I know you're a good, honest lad, and I'll be saying, what's the matter with the lads? They were a bit down today in training. Gaffer, you haven't given them a day off in 3 weeks. It's I think they find it really tough. I think it'd be really good if we can win tomorrow, that you give them a couple of days off. Yeah. And I'll go, right, I'm listening. Because sometimes you don't see the what's the saying? You don't see the forest because of the trees. You know what I mean? You're so focused on the next game. It probably never even crossed my mind. You haven't had a day off in 3 weeks, and you've just won 3 games back to back. Sometimes the captain will come and go, Gaffer, I'd give him a few days off, and listen, they'll run through a brick wall for you on Saturday. And I think that's how it should be. That I'm listening to you, and you know that I'm listening to you, and I'm not just being a dictatorial type of manager who, you just listen to me, use the footballers, get on with it, I'll tell you what to do. Because when it starts to go wrong, it's so easy for you to not to give quite everything, and not to run through a brick wall and give that extra percentage that I think the best teams give on the days. That's how they can recover late goals. They can get a draw in a game where you think it's dead and buried at half time. And because
so if you've got one thing that you always do in a job, with the first thing you go in, is that the most important thing, to find out personalities of everyone?
I do one-on-ones with every player when I go into football clubs. Whether somebody asked me this the other day I'll tell you, in a job interview, but they said, how are you different from 10 years ago? So what I'm saying is, when I came to Boro, I don't know whether I did one-on-one interviews, but I know I do now. The last 2 or 3 clubs I've been at, I want to know the players. I want to know if they feel entitled. I'm the left winger, and just get it to me, Gaffer, and I'll win you the game, and doesn't want to work, not interested in looking at his clips because he's got his hands on his thighs, and the other lads are all running back trying to defend, and he's walking back. I need to show you. I want you to embrace what we want to do. I like everybody to defend properly. Now, that doesn't mean the centre forward always back in his own box, but I think get back into a position so that when we recover the ball, you are an easy pass to give it to. So you might be 15, because if you think of centre halves, generally they've got like a big elastic band on them at the halfway line that keeps tugging them back to the halfway line. They want to be safe on the halfway line. If your centre forward drops 25 yards deeper on the angle, he doesn't really want to come with him. And so when you nick it off somebody, you give it to him, he secures it, we all start running and we play and we're off. Yeah. I hate it when they stand up there, hands on their hips, shaking their head, watching everybody else defend. We win it, we got nowhere to go other than a 50-50 ball with the big centre half coming over the top and nicking it, and he can't get hold of it. Yeah. And lots of little things I do. I don't like centre halves who just head it back into the pack like I would have done my whole career probably. Goal kick, just win the header, both head it back. All my centre halves now have to try and head it to a red shirt if we're playing for a team in red. So if it's Boro, if you got a free header and the little lad's not going to even jump, just drop it down to your left back. Just drop it down to your right back. Just can you drop it into the midfield player, bring it down in your chest and give him it. Don't make football 50-50. Just little things that certain managers like about certain aspects of the game, and when you first go in, you've got to sort of cement them. Otherwise, you're pulling your hair out all the time. But the first thing I do is try and get a rota for everybody in the first. Not in the first day, in the first week or two, 10 days. So it's not, and I say the first 2 weeks I want to see everybody. I'm always interested who's last. Oh, it's a chore to come and see the manager. Yeah. It isn't really, what am I going to, well, you might not get nothing out of it.
Do you call them in or do you let them come in when they want?
No, I get a sheet really off my secretary in the end. They have to put down when they want to come in. Right. Because some of them want to be away straight after training, don't they? And some of them will say, Gaffer, I'll come in at 7:30. I'll come in at 7:30 if you want, 8 o'clock, and we'll have a chat then. Yeah. And I'll go, fine, no problem, mate. Or Gaffer, because I'll be doing this on Tuesday. It's my turn to do this, and I'll do 4 o'clock on Tuesday.
Yeah. I remember our first. I was right out here, and it's obviously the first time I spoke to you, but just hearing stories from like my family, I felt like I knew you, and it was just brilliant.
Do you remember that day? Do you remember the phone call you got?
No.
For the Boro, don't you?
Well, no, it was quite a complicated stuff because I was on garden leave from Glasgow Celtic. Yeah. So it was an era, I go back, an era where there was no agents. I didn't have an agent. There was agents. So when I left West Brom to go to Celtic because they phoned and called, I just signed the contract that was put in front of me. There's the number. Basically, as a manager, or as a player these days, any days, how much am I earning? What's the number? So, right, there's the number, that's what I'm earning. Right, okay, good, where do I sign? Nobody's reading the small print. It wasn't sent off to the League Managers Association to get the lawyers to look at what the contract says. So, when I lost my job 11 months later, apparently I was on garden leave, which meant as soon as I took another job, they stopped paying. So when Boro did call, I had to explain everything. I think Steve had gone to them and they tried to negotiate some get-out package and it didn't quite come off. And
we stopped getting paid at Bolton for 6-7 months and people were like, oh, you're a footballer, it's fine. Wouldn't happen in any other job, would it?
No.
I've been watching Gordon Ramsay, he was fuming off the staff not getting paid. Yeah. Well, for like a week or something.
I mean, isn't there's sanctions now and everything, isn't there, that they brought in if you don't get paid within 2 months, is it, or 3 months?
Yeah, you mean if clubs in financial difficulty? Yeah. But nobody was in financial difficulty. It's just that was the contract. It was, and I didn't even know
that was in it
until they told me, if you take this job, we can stop paying you.
Did I read somewhere at Sunderland that they didn't know you had an extra year if you'd got to a certain level or got in the playoffs or something?
I don't know, mate. I don't know. Listen, you know what, with contracts, even today with agents, I do have an agent now because that's their job. They look over all the small detail, let me know what potentially could happen and what does happen. And what I would say, I can't say a wrong word against Sunderland. They've allowed me to stay on their health scheme. Yeah. Because if you have a break in health insurance, of course, with my condition, it would be, ridiculously expensive to try and get an insurance company to insure you. But Sunderland paid me every penny that was due. Yeah. I could only say to them, thank you. I do think me losing my job was a strange. We had the same points exactly as we had the year before when we finished in the playoffs. We were sitting 7th, I think, on the day I lost my job. It was more a personality thing with the owner, I think, and the demands of what the owner wanted. He's a young guy, he was 28 at the time. he wanted certain players to play, and that's all right. I always felt, standing in that little box, that I had a responsibility for 46,000 people to try and win a football match, not to give young kids a game.
Yeah.
Now, there's the balance. So the owner wants you to give a young kid a game. As I found out pretty harshly, you don't listen to the owner, you lose your job.
Yeah, so as a manager, I mean, I would never go into a club where you weren't picking the team. I mean, that just seems crazy to me.
No, well, and I was picking the team.
Yeah.
That's, I was there a year or so, and I was picking the team. And I would say, in his defence, he never actually said, you have to do that. He's questioning, why is this player still playing? He hasn't assisted in 3 games. Yeah. Well, I watch training every day, sir. I called him, sir, and I say, I watch training every day, and the team I put on the pitch, in my opinion, is the best team to win the game that's in front of us. And I see that as my job, my responsibility. Now, his argument was, your job is to have a fairness about giving everybody a game and creating a value in the squad and creating a value in the young players who, bottom line, I'd only just played Chris Rigg at 15-year-old away at Fulham in the FA Cup at 15-year-old. I think throughout my whole career, I've given young players opportunities to play football.
Well, people would associate you with young players, wouldn't they? With bringing young players on and improving young players. That's what I think, especially with what's happened at Sunderland and at Blackburn a little bit as well. I couldn't see the logic in what they did there, and it sort of backfired on them anyway a little bit. But I mean, they're doing well again. If you could pick one moment from your managerial career as being your proudest, I know that'd be difficult, but what would it be?
Listen, probably winning the league and the championship. I think to hold up that trophy in front of your fans, and having played 46 games to try and be the best in the league. I think back to my career. Somebody was asking, what's your best memory? Chelsea away for Boro, getting promotion via the playoffs, lost 1-0. I think Bernie asked me that. I'm saying, it was a bit bittersweet because we actually lost the game, which irritated me really badly, and yet we'd won 2-0 in the first leg. Yeah. But we got promoted, and we had to sprint off the pitch at the end, but then we came back on with the 10,000 Boro fans, and it was, special moment really to have back-to-back promotions. That was a great day. But as a manager, I think winning the league, winning the championship, Premier League manager, we got relegated against Liverpool on the second last game of the season. The last game was Blackburn away, and 5,000 West Brom fans wore Tony Mowbray masks. Yeah. So I didn't get sacked. It was strange. No, they did. It was amazing because it was a message of support, really. Yeah. But I've had lots of conversations with Baggies fans because they were so supportive of me, and yet 3 weeks later I left to go to Glasgow Celtic. Yeah. And the reason being that I'd lost my wife to breast cancer, and Celtic as a club, this institution, this worldwide institution, I went there as manager. Pre-season there was 33,000 filled a stadium in Australia with green and white. The whole stadium was green and white. 33,000 in Australia. It shows you what a worldwide club it was. That was a pre-season game, and I don't really regret it, other than West Brom bounced straight back next year and stayed in the Premier League for 7 years, and it would have been nice to have been a Premier League manager with the team that we felt that we'd built, really, with bringing Brunty and Mozzer and Robbie Corrin and people like this, Philip Teixeira. But
is Celtic the biggest club?
Yeah, listen, Celtic. Oh yeah.
I mean, it's huge, isn't it?
Oh, listen, you can't. It's incredible. I'm not sure it suits. So this is a dilemma I've had for most of my career about: am I a winner or am I a developer of footballers? Really, now I have won the league, so in my mind I have that battle, and yet I do think if I break down 20 years, I think we've developed lots of very young players into really good players, and there's so many in the Premier League at the moment that not I haven't developed them, but I've had a year with them on loan or whatever it might be, or I've even James Maddison. I had a year and a half with James Maddison at Coventry. From when he was like 17, what an amazing young player, what a confidence and almost an arrogance he had. But Tosin Adarabioyo, Gareth Branthwaite, Howard Bellis,
Could you pick a favourite? Who's the best player who you think you've ever coached?
Amad Diallo.
Well,
I'm not saying him, but he was amazing for Sunderland. But Harvey Elliott is some footballer, by the way, how he can manipulate that ball, and he looks pretty comfortable in Liverpool's first team, and yet at this moment he can't get in that team. Mo Salah plays where he generally plays. But
about Tamo King.
Tamo King. Oh, don't. Hey, listen, maybe for me. That's where this football club was, though. At the time, you know, we were selling Joe Bennett and signing George Friend for 100 grand, and bringing Grant Ledbetter back from Ipswich on a free transfer. Them's the sort of deals we were trying to do. We didn't have 50 million to spend like the manager after me had. Yeah. It's even though he did well and got promotion.
It was after. Yeah.
Karanka.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It's No, listen, bottom line, whatever, he got the job done, and but I do feel as if where that money came from, it was not about when we were signing some of the players we signed.
Can I just ask, I know obviously we all know you're down to earth, but what's it feel like being one of the absolute heroes for Boro? So I feel like the fans like me when I go there and they're nice to me and that, but what does it feel like for you?
Listen, it's very, very, very humbling for me. So an example, I walked my dog in Stewart's Park this morning. I get up early, 7 o'clock, and I walk my dog, I don't know, 8 till 9 in Stewart's Park, just walking around the path because it's too wet to go on the grass. And I would say if 20 people didn't shout, "All right, Mogger, how are you, mate? How's your health?" And then maybe out of them 5 of them stop and want to shake your hand and have a chat and tell you where they last saw you. But that's on a daily basis, really.
It's class,
and
it's
very humbling, really, for me. Because, you know, an old man in his 70s or 80s, he's walking with his missus and their little dog, and they want to stop and chat, and they stop for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and I find it, why do you want to, you know, I've generally got my scarf around my face and I've got my hood pulled up, and yet I've obviously got such an ugly face, they all recognise me, but it's...
It might be your walk.
No, it might be. No, but listen, what's it like? It's very, very humbling. You know, you feel it when you come to the game. I come to the game and there's something, you know, Julie's still there from 1986, 84. You know, how many games has she watched in her lifetime? And the old boy who sits on the left as you come right through the gate, he must have my autograph 5,000 times. It's unbelievable, the pictures and stuff they've got. But
Chunky's still there.
Chunky used to bring balls, a bag of balls, but you're not allowed no more, I don't think.
I get a bit embarrassed when the little kids and the dads are pushing the kids towards this old man and thinking, "Dad, who's this? What do you want me to do? Just get a picture with Mogger, go on." And I'm thinking, "Oh, leave the kid alone." But no, it's nice. It's nice.
You asked that.
Am I doing this?
Yeah.
Right.
I've got a question for you.
Yeah.
Is this his debut, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know the date of it?
September the summer 1982, was it?
Yeah, 1982.
September
Score?
One each.
Yeah. Do you know the starting lineup?
Their starting lineup, but I was
yours.
Darren Wood, because he scored. I've no idea. Let me think. Paul Ward made his debut as well.
Paul Ward's it.
Right, goalkeeper. Yeah, 1982. It must have been Jimmy Platt.
Still around, yeah, Jim Platt.
I saw Jim on Saturday. Yeah. So
I don't know what positions these are. Is it right back, centre back?
I'm guessing they go from right back to centre back.
Right, I'm struggling with right back because my right backs I remember is Craigsy, but Craigsy had finished by 82. So it wasn't Andy McCreesh or something because he only played one game at home, I think. So don't tell me, John Brownlee or something like that?
Yeah, correct.
Was it John? Jesus.
The big man.
Does he ever come to games, John Brownlee? So that era of football team, you know what I mean? It was tough. But go on. John Brownlee, it was Irving played, did he swerve? Irving Natras, no?
No,
not that day.
No. So we've got, I think he's other centre half.
Oh God. Joe, centre half.
Yeah, and then the team I played for.
No, left footer.
He played for the team, the same team as his second name.
I played for him. Wanderers.
All right, well, Joe
Bolton, yeah.
Right, well, Joe was normally a left back, but he might have played centre half, you're saying? Who have you got left back?
No, he won't know that.
Mick
Baxter?
Yeah, Mick Baxter.
Oh, Mickey Baxter and me
we got another Mick.
Would have been centre half.
Another Mick.
Oh, we didn't play a back three, did we?
I don't know.
Yeah, might have done.
Could have put the formation in, couldn't you, as well?
In 82, you'd done well if you'd played a back three.
3-4-3 or something.
Mick Baxter, me, and somebody called Mick.
Another Mick.
Another Mick.
Come on, give me half a clue. What's it start with? What's the letter? Mick?
K.
Mick Kennedy.
Yeah.
He's not a
I was
centre
gonna
half.
say,
Mick
he
Kennedy.
doesn't know what he's on about.
Kennedy
Don't listen
He
to
used to be
him.
an American
Mick
president.
Kennedy would kick his granny. I used to smoke and drink whiskey and.
Like Tunchai, that. He used to smoke in the showers after the game.
Listen, he was great to be on your team, but he was horrible, man. Went to Portsmouth, didn't he? Rough, mate. He would. If you did something wrong in training against him or said something, he would lash you. You know what I mean? He wouldn't care. He would like try and break your leg. It was horrific.
Did you ever get angry like?
Not like that, mate.
yeah.
Not like that.
So out of them, so you've got John Brownlee, yourself, Joe Bolton,
Yeah,
Mick Baxter and Mick Kennedy. How would they line up?
Mick Kennedy definitely playing in midfield. Joe Bolton definitely playing left back. John Brownlee right back, and
So
me.
where's
and
Mick
you and
Baxter?
Mick
Mickey Baxter
centre
played
half.
alongside
yeah.
me. Mick was a lovely man. His best mate was Heine Otto.
He come on for Paul Ward.
His best
Oh, you've
mate
give
was,
Paul Ward away?
Oh, I knew. I said
Ward,
Paul
right,
Ward.
yeah,
Yeah,
Who up to?
yeah. So Darren Wood scored.
Yeah.
Was
Yeah.
he start? Darren Wood.
Yeah.
He would have
Darren
been,
Wood.
Yeah. He'd have played midfield.
Yellow. So we've got
So-
Colin Summit.
Colin Bell.
No.
No, Colin.
There is a Bell.
Yeah, he was he on the bench? Was he Bell?
No.
Was he starting?
Yeah.
Was not called Colin Bell. Oh,
No,
Stephen Bell.
Stephen, yeah.
Stephen Bell,
Alright.
yeah.
Stephen Bell was there.
Do you remember Stephen Bell?
I do.
No.
Yeah. What a footballer
Yeah.
Stephen Bell was. He was.
I wasn't born for another
he was,
5 years.
So I
How old
remember
was Stephen Bell?
Stephen Bell was 17 when he got in the team, Malcolm Allison. But Stephen Bell was like he's like Janino. With total respect,
Yeah.
Janino was a world-class player, but Stephen Bell was like, wow. He would pick it up and run, and he would dance past 3 and 4 men so fast. The
I
ball.
think you were better than Janino.
Stephen Bell
What do
was
you
a hell
want?
of a player.
Was you and Barnby? Class.
What?
He died very, very young, though. Eh?
He did, yeah.
Yeah.
He did.
Go on, who am I missing?
Colin Summit.
Right, Colin. And it's not Colin Bell. It was Colin. Give me a clue.
Summit Geller off Friends.
What?
Do you watch Friends?
Yeah.
Monica and what's his brother called?
I don't know. Monica and Colin. I should know this.
In,
Rachel
in
Adams.
Scotland, there's a county. So something
He's bashing
county.
your head against a brick wall here. It is.
Who's Rachel's love interest on Friends?
Rachel's love interest on
Yeah, that was
Friends.
the big one, innit?
Wasn't he the big
Rachel
dopey
and-
one?
Yeah,
Yeah.
fair enough.
What's he called? Ross.
Ross.
Yeah, Ross.
Colin
Yeah,
Ross.
yeah,
Well,
Colin
Colin
Ross.
Ross was a Scotsman.
Yeah.
And he wasn't a first team player really, Colin Ross. He was a lad who flitted in, flitted out, was in the Madison more than he was in the team. You know what I mean? It was. I remember he had. We shouldn't say it. No, I won't tell you.
Go on, say it.
So there's
No,
only
no,
one. You've
not
only
on
got one
telly.
player left.
I'll tell you after.
You've only got one
All right.
player left to
So
get.
Dave,
Big Dave.
Alan. It's not. No, that's a bad clue, that, isn't it?
Dave played.
Premier
You-
League.
you'll know it, 'cause
Premier
I
League
know him.
all-time top
He-
scorer's
he's-
surname.
David Shearer.
Yes.
Shearer, yeah.
God, what a man he was.
Yeah.
He was. You wouldn't be letting him anywhere near your kids as an example. Put it that way. Do you know what I mean?
Well,
Goodness me, the shake he was called. Jesus.
I don't know.
No, but listen, Shaky was all right. He was, but
I
never
think
mind.
you've said this. Who's
David
He said
Shearer.
it.
scored for-
So
yeah, he said
who
that.
scored for the
Darren
the Newcastle team?
And
two
Mickey
top
Sh-
players
Mickey
for
Shannon.
Newcastle?
Yeah.
You said Keegan.
Shannon.
Who else played? So there's Keegan Shannon and who else?
Not
There's
Waddle,
another one.
Was it Waddle?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Waddle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They had a good team. Bottom line, it's. I can on the night. I just remember following Keegan in tight, and he never tried to take me on ever. He'd get hold of it, secure it, lay it off, spin, and I just dropped back in. You know what I mean? It was like he never once got me one-on-one where he was going to stick it through my legs or knock it, try and get me off balance and go past me.
Yeah.
I did all right there, to be honest.
Not
You
bad
did.
there.
I thought you did all right.
Colin Ross got a bit of hammering, didn't
Colin
he? He was
Ross.
not-
I
not-
wouldn't.
Not a good.
Do you know what? I don't
No,
think I'd remember
Rossi,
mine.
On the periphery.
Rossi was he was a reserve team player, bottom line, and you would probably admit that. I don't know how many appearances he made for the first team, Colin Ross. No, you'll have to look it up. But what I'm saying, it won't be hundreds. He was a steady Eddie as I was coming through playing for the second team every now and then. Even though I didn't play much for the second team because I went straight from the youth team, it was the timing. They sold all their best players, and I was just got an opportunity. And without opportunity, you're never making it. You're just another young player.
Would you know your debut team?
What year was it?
He doesn't even know the year.
No, it was the year of the UEFA Cup final because he started playing the young lads towards the end. McLaren.
2005, 2006.
Yeah, 5-6 wasn't it? 5-6.
right?
I think I'd do all right with it.
Yeah.
I nearly took Schwartz's head off. Do you know when you used to run out with the balls and bang them?
Yeah.
Try to bang it that way, shanked it that way, whiskered past his nose. Imagine that.
Well, you've done well to whisk past his nose.
I know it did.
What's who top 5 Boro players
Oh, come on. That's wrong, isn't it?
in your top 5?
What? Of supporting the Boro throughout the years?
Of playing with.
All right, playing with. I was going to say, because that's too hard to say.
Yeah.
Because they had that golden era, didn't they, of Janino and Ravanelli and Boxic and Hignett. Yeah. But you must sit here and think, how good were them players? Could you feel world class?
Yeah,
next to
I
you?
think.
Yeah.
I think when Juni first came, he took a little bit of getting used to because the game was different.
Yeah.
But every day he would do pitch runs.
Yeah.
Every single day for about 6 weeks maybe. And then after that, he was frightening. He shouldn't have been able to do what he did on the pitch, but he had such good awareness, such good mobility, the way he would skip past people, his centre of gravity, everything about him was just...
I remember seeing a clip of him doing like a double movement run, but it was like a long run from a long pass. It like he sprinted in a straight line and the defender's trying to match him, and then he just pushed off his right foot and went there, and the ball just landed right in front of him. It's like a run, like a striker would make in the box where they dive to the front post, stop, put the brakes on and back off 2 yards and edit in the empty net. He was making amazing runs, like 30 yards, and then just changing completely different direction.
He was incredible. Nick Barmby was unbelievable. Nick Barmby was a really good player. Clever, good footballer.
I said before I got hammered, I was doing a
so
talk
hard.
and I got hammered because I said Janino ruined that first season at Riverside. You were flying Fjortoft and Barmby, class up front, he came.
Yeah, but he's a different type. Juni was different type. He'd win the game for you on his own. He was incredible.
What about the rest? What about Boxic and...
I just missed Boxic, but I did play... we played against them. Juventus away, we played in a pre-season friendly when Robbo was there, and Boxic played left wing, Del Piero played, and Curtis Fleming was marking Boxic. Yeah. And he gave Curtis 3 yard, pushed the ball past him, and beat him over 10.
Wow.
Like the acceleration and the power.
He didn't look fast though, did he?
Oh, he was rapid. He was like stupid quick.
No.
But I think sometimes you only find out how good people are when you either play against them or with them.
Yeah. No.
And Gaza was just tipping past his best though, wasn't he?
Gaza was unexpected for me because I knew he was obviously a brilliant player, but the best one-touch player I ever seen.
Right. Who, Gaza?
Just because he knew where everything was. Yeah. You could have stopped the game and said to Gaza, "Where is everyone?" Yeah. And he wouldn't look. He'd just go, "He's there." Yeah.
How good was he in 1990? Obviously, I was a bit young then, but everyone says he was unbelievable.
I went on an England B tour in '89 with him to Switzerland, Norway, and Iceland, and he scored. I think it was in Iceland. He scored a goal, but he literally beat their whole team, dribbling through the pitch, arms out, pushing people in the face as he's going, and he round the goalie and walked it in over the line. It was like unbelievable. And in Iceland, it was the coldest day you've ever seen, and there was a brass band playing in the middle of the pitch, and he's chipping the ball, trying to get it in the trombone.
And did he?
Yeah. But he had about 3 or 4 goals with balls, like getting them off the goalies and things. Chipping it. The band was like in a big square marching up and down the pitch, and he's chipping the ball into this big, big trombone, like about this big.
See, as you as a gaffer, would you like him in the changing room?
That'd be difficult, that. He was difficult to...
I think so. If you talk to Pally about Ferguson and Cantona, some players you have to have a different mentality with. Cantona was allowed to turn up at gigs with his open neck shirt and his jeans on, whereas Lee Sharp would walk in and Fergie would send him home to get changed and get a tie on, and the lads would all go, "Eric's just come in with his trainers on, gaffer, and his jeans. Leave Eric alone, he's all right."
Said that about when he Kung Fu kicked the fan, didn't he? And they said he'd come in, he just went, "Eric, you can't do that."
Well, he hammered everyone, didn't he? He went round, everyone hammered them all, and everyone thought Cantona was going to get the worst, and he didn't. He just said, "You can't do that."
Right, top 5 Boro players in my playing time.
Yes.
I only really associate myself with today because from '82 there was lots of these different players. Do you put Heine Otto in there? Because he didn't play in a great Boro team, but the Boro team that succeeded when I was here, you'd have to put Pallister in. He won 4 Premier Leagues. I think Slaven, because of the goals he scored, and I'm sure he's told everybody millions of times how many goals he scored. I'm a Gary Hamilton fan, you see, but only because I like competitive edge. And I roomed with him for 5 years, and he's from where he's come from to what he achieved was quite amazing, and the injuries that he played through and what he did for the club was quite special, I feel. I toil into thing, it's really hard because I love them all, really. I love Ripley. I mean, Ripley won the Premier League with Blackburn Rovers, and yet would you say he was one of the best? It was just sheer power and pace, and he got you one-on-one, and you talked about power from his backside. It was like, wow, it was amazing to watch, and he whipped great balls in. But Colin Cooper played for England as well. He's right-footed left back, and Parky, Pearsy.
He was incredible. Stephen Pears was an incredible goalkeeper, wasn't he?
I think so, and I think the evidence is there. I think I don't know how many clean sheets in the season was it. I don't know. Anybody know what the record of the clean sheets was in one of them promotion years? I don't know whether it was 25.
So we need facts here.
That's all right, mate. It's okay, but Pearsy just did the job really. Very, very good. And as I say, so all the players I've just mentioned really are basically from 86, 87, 88 teams, and yet I played here from 82, 83, 84, 85, and then 80, 90, 91 really. So but I think they have to come from that team really. So Pallister, Slaven, Hamilton, Pears, and then take your pick, Ripley, Cooper.
At least Bernie's going to be happy.
Bernie will be happy.
Yeah.
Bernie was a brilliant finisher. Bernie passed
finisher.
the ball into the net, and listen, he was offside all the time. He was as weak as water. He wasn't a sprinter.
I
can tell you all the things.
Was he sharp?
Yeah, he was sharp. There was lots of things he couldn't do, but he could put the ball in the back of the net with his left foot.
So you can walk with the best of them now, though, can't he? Yeah. First time I went for a walk with him, I thought we were just going to. He's getting on in age, and I thought we were just going around the corner. 3 hours I was walking.
No, he loves it, Bernie, with his dogs.
Yeah, he loves animals, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's incredible.
He came to see me, and he was more interested in my dog than he was in me, to be honest.
Well, there was a dead rabbit on the road. He's picked it up and he's dug a little thing on the side of the hill for it.
What, like
foxes are going to get that now? Yeah.
Yeah, he loves animals.
Yeah, he loves them.
He's in good lad.
It's amazing to think he's got 40 years coming up, hasn't he? I think.
Cracker, everyone knows him though, don't they, around here?
Well, you can't
so to finish with Tone,
yeah.
what's from now till the end of the season? Get back in if you can. See what happens. What about the future? Where do you see yourself in the future? Do you see yourself managing for as long as you can, or do you see another role?
I think football management will dictate to you whether I don't want to manage. I love Lenny Lawrence to bits. He sold me, but I see Lenny every Wednesday, and we have a good chat about football and what's happening in the game at all levels. And he sold me. Basically, I asked him to leave. Pally had gone. I felt a bit when in '91 got promotion that year. I think we were top of the league when I left. We just lost, mind you, 1-0 at Barnsley, I think, and. I remember saying, "Listen, Lenny, I need to go. I'm struggling to get up for the games, and it's not like me. I need to feel that I've got a cause to fight for every game." And I was feeling a bit washed out, really. It was just another game coming, and I didn't feel as I was being at my best. And anyway, the very next day he called me in. I mean, literally the very next day, he said, "Celtic have just bid for you. We've accepted it. What do you think?" I says, "I don't know." He says, "Well, they've got a game tonight against Neuchâtel Xamax in the Europa League or whatever it was at the time, UEFA Cup." And I said, "They'd like you to go and watch it." So anyway, I drove down, watched it. The jungle, so they hadn't built a new stadium then, and but there was still, 50,000 there. It was like unbelievable, the green and the white and the noise and the atmosphere. It was just wow. I went back to my hotel. The manager, who was Liam Brady, came to my hotel room that night about 11:30. This is how mad it is. No agents, right? What do you want? I told him what I was earning, what I was thinking, He said, you can't have that and that, because I'd talked about signing on fee. I remember my dad saying to me, make sure you get a sign on fee, son. Yeah. And I'd, well, let's give you some round numbers. I don't know what, right, I want £2,000 a week and I want 50 grand sign on fee or whatever it was, you know what I mean? You can't have both, he said. I said, oh, right, well, can you do 2,500 a week? He said, oh, listen, I'll go and talk to my thing. I'll let you know tomorrow. And that was a negotiation, me and him just saying, what do you want? What are you thinking? And I didn't have a clue. You know, I was on, I don't know, I might have been on 600 quid a week here or something like that. And I know Pally had just got a new deal and before he'd left, and I should have been on the same. I think I probably was on the same as Pally. I don't know, we'd both, because I know Pally's probably told you that story about the sponsored cars and stuff like that. He got a Citroen. I thought the Citroen was very nice. My XR3 injection was good.
He was raging about the car.
He was raging. God, if he'd have been sitting here now, you'd have never heard the last of that again. But anyway, so my point I'm trying to make is no agents, just me and the manager discussing what salary I was going to get and what I was going to. And basically, we agreed to do it. And I went back and I signed for Celtic, and I was off and running. From hardly been injured for Boro for like 12 years. I did have a symphysis pubis in my groin, but that kept me out for 10 weeks, I think, once. But that was probably my only ever injury. I got injured in my first or second game for Celtic. I rolled my ankle, and every club I go to now, when you sign a new player, I talk about the adrenaline. You know, why would I go 10 years without getting an injury at Boro, and then my second game, roll my ankle and out for 3 months? And basically because I think you get too uptight, you're too stressed, your body's not relaxed, and your body's stiff. And I went over on my ankle in the second game.
That happened to me at Blackburn, funnily enough, and I've never really thought about it that much, but I'd done my Achilles.
I don't let the new signings start games. First game, we've just signed them on Thursday, and they want to play, but calm down, just relax, because you're going to be too tense. You want to show everybody how good you are. You're going to get injured. You're going to go for a tackle, or your body's going to be too tight. Your hammy's going to snap or something. Just be very careful about the adrenaline running through the body of new signings.
And last question from me is: who was your idol? Who was your hero?
Well, as I grew up at the Boro, it was probably John Hignett was everybody's hero, really. I think when I was a kid, just because of his penalties, I think, and his swashbuckling way he ran around the pitch. You know, strangely enough, I used to like Alan Foggen and stuff like that as well, because he would run and barge people about. David Mills with his blonde hair, Stewie Bohm. Even though, if I think back as a young kid, when I first signed contracts for Boro from the age of, I started coming from the age of 11. I was always a goal-scoring midfield player. I would always, you know, I say this to my teams, to be honest, find the child within you, really, because when you're a child, you are the best player in your school, you're the best player in your town, you're the best player in the district and probably the county, and that's why you become a professional footballer. Don't forget that you can pass, you can run with the ball, you can dribble. Even me, as it turned into a big daft centre-half, when I was 14, I was scoring 4, 5, 6 goals a game. I wouldn't pass to the kids who would keep losing it, because I wanted the ball. And we were all the same, I think, you know. So don't ever lose the kid inside you, because that's what you are. You are a good footballer. So when somebody tells you, you just edit and kick it, I'd never tell my centre-halves edit and kick it. I'd tell them to remember that when they were the best player at school. Get on the ball, relax, stick it through the lines there, just stick it at him like you used to do. That's how I like footballers, to know that they're good players. Don't ever let anybody indoctrinate you that all you have to do is edit and kick it. Yeah. I think them days are gone. We should all be able to play as you could always play as a kid.
And we'll finish by...
I'll take the tone down a bit. I've got me 10 quick-fire questions.
Oh, have you got your
10? Yeah, I've got me Dave's dilemmas.
Oh, God.
Well, actually, one question. So we can confirm I wasn't though, that's why...
100%.
Right.
I can't... You know what? Sitting here, I can't remember.
Can't remember it.
No, I must have been...
I was free in the summer, but they offered about 2.5 million.
Right.
for some reason.
Right, okay.
And I think there were 6 in the Premier League, Bolton, and
I don't think
left them in League One.
I know for a fact I wouldn't have looked at you. How long had I been there?
Not long, no.
I wouldn't have got rid of you, no chance.
No, you did.
I didn't.
Definitely.
Yeah,
No, I
you did.
didn't get rid of him. But listen, if you think of my whole tenure at the football club, there was no money.
Yeah.
I wouldn't
Oh,
have wanted.
no.
I liked Joe Bennett as well. I wouldn't have sold Joe Bennett.
I always blame it on Strachan bringing all them down, but yeah, never mind.
It was a big job to change things around.
He's only sold all them
Can you
to go.
imagine? Oh, Jesus,
Yeah.
some of them flipping egg.
Yeah.
Good business.
What, selling me?
Well, I'm not going to say that.
Flipping egg.
Who did they replace you with? Who did I replace you with?
McManus was here.
We had the Australian kid, didn't he? Didn't we?
Reece.
Reece.
Yeah.
Reece was already here.
Yeah.
McManus was here.
Reece Williams.
Steve McManus was here.
Steve McManus, he was already here. Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't remember who came in after. Seb was already here.
Seb was here.
Ayala, I
He
don't know
was
when
here.
Ayala came in.
Right, okay.
I can't remember.
For these
the
reasons,
centre half.
nothing
Centre
too
half.
hard.
Come on,
yeah.
let's
Centre
go.
half.
This is what I want to ask you. Are you Redcar or Saltburn?
Born in Saltburn. Always
Were you born
lived in
in Saltburn?
always lived in Redcar.
Yes.
Never lived in Saltburn.
I always
Everybody
thought you
says
were
to me,
Redcar
"Oh,
and
you're a
people-
Saltburn lad." I was born in the maternity hospital in Saltburn.
That wasn't the question, by the way. So this is the question. Redcar or Saltburn?
Redcar. Saltburn was Fillmore's nightclub. That was it.
Redcar's got the deck now. That's still
Yeah.
all right. Ayerson Park or the Riverside? Probably, yeah.
I've only played at
Yeah.
Ayerson Park.
He's a tough one. Lenny Lawrence or Bruce Rayok?
Oh, listen, I love Lenny to bits, and as I said, I see him every Wednesday. But I spent the happy years of my life with Bruce.
Yeah.
Really,
And he signed me here.
Is he all right?
Lenny was my
Lenny's
manager.
a top
yeah.
man.
Great
He
man.
with at Bolton for a bit.
He's great.
With,
He's great, Lenny.
I didn't know anyone's names. There was a lad from Norwich. He called him Norwich. yeah, he didn't know anyone's names.
He's doing well now. He's lost 2 out of 12, hasn't he, for Hartlepool?
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
Doing all
They're
right.
doing okay.
3 points off.
couple of centre half ones. Woodgate or Southgate?
Oh, that's tough. Listen, I'd have to say Woody because he went to Real Madrid. I know he scored no G on his debut, but he's
And got sent off.
and got sent off. But listen, he was playing in the Leeds team. I got the semi-final.
Yeah, he was
Yeah.
a Rolls Royce, wasn't he, Woody?
yeah.
He was a Rolls Royce.
Rio or Terry?
Oh,
Say it again.
Rio Ferdinand or John Terry?
Oh,
I'll pick him.
Yeah, I think as an influencer, John Terry. Really, we played against Chelsea in the cup at the Riverside, and you think you can get at John Terry. You think you can get him behind him and get it. You can't.
I
He's
don't
too-
think he gets enough credit for how good he was on the ball.
Yeah,
Left
yeah.
foot, 70-yard dive with his left foot.
John
Brilliant. he was.
Terry, yeah.
So I always like to get a wrestling question. I don't know
All
if
right,
you're a
good.
fan or not.
No. Well, go on.
do you know he's got wrestling figures?
No.
You know that?
No.
He collects
All right.
wrestling
I
figures.
collect-
Let me.
Wrestling figures,
I
yeah.
know the Undertaker, and
See,
I
I
know.
was going to put him in.
All right, go on then.
No, I've put Hulk Hogan or the British Bulldog. I thought you'll know them too.
Hulk Hogan, I think, is the one I know.
Yeah.
I wouldn't know the British Bulldog. I only know what's the British ones I would know. Then Giant Haystacks.
Haystacks.
Big Daddy.
Big Daddy.
Calhoun, is it?
No, I don't know
Haystacks
him.
Calhoun.
I know Haystacks and Big Daddy.
Yeah.
Nobody else.
Should have put them. Haystacks or Big Daddy. It's 11 questions now.
Right? Yeah. I don't know Big Daddy. I think.
Right.
Yeah.
Pasitos or Suggets?
Oh, only Pasitos.
Yeah.
Me.
Correct.
Yeah.
Have you tried Gabrielle's?
No.
No, my daughter goes to Gabrielle's. We go to Pasitos and they have to drive down the road to Gabrielle's. Rosebery Topping or Captain Cook's Monument for a little walk?
We do both, but it's easier to do Captain Cook's for
Yeah,
me
park at the
at
bottom.
61. Yeah, I can park at the bottom and walk up. Where it's a you think Rosebery Topping coming. In fact, last night I dropped my son off. I say last night he was finished by 3:45, so it's getting dark. But he does that. He jogs up there.
2 more. Messi or Ronaldo?
Messy for me.
Yep.
Yeah, for me as well. 100%. But he's the big one. Parmo or fish and chips?
Oh, depends where you get the fish and chips from. If you
Sea breeze at Redcar.
Sea breeze at Redcar.
Oh, the best.
Oh God,
The best.
Sea breeze at Redcar. Goodness me. So I take the dog for a walk in Majuba,
Yeah.
and then I just park on the side, go and get the fish and chips, and
They owe me a Dr. Pepper though, you know. I remembered I got ate me fish and chips and I forgot my drink last time. So, but that is the best one. Sea breeze and Redcar.
if you'd have asked me in 1987, it would have been a Parmo out of Fatso's just outside the Mall. You know what I mean? But because the plates were like that size, and the Parmo just about fitting on it.
Where do you get a Parmo now if you go out anywhere?
I don't mean. Probably Martin Chippy. I get it as a
G's,
as a
you know,
takeaway,
G's
yeah.
behind the Acklam, behind the petrol station, Virginia Gardens. That's a good one. It's a very good one. Yeah.
Palm away.
He's connoisseur, isn't he?
Yeah. No, listen, grew up, born and bred here. It's I like the people, I like the places, I like all the things you've just mentioned, Rosebery Topping and Redcar Beach, and you know, it's been a while since I've walked to Saltburn from Redcar Beach, but I need to do it soon. It's a trek.
I know what you think.
Yeah, I cheat a little bit because then I park at one of them stops up near Mask.
Yeah, just before Mask. Yeah, that's what we do. Yeah,
park there.
Yeah.
And start.
It's still classed as Redcar, them car parks.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah,
you're all right now.
But we go the other way from Majuba sometimes towards the steelworks. But
that's long as well, isn't it?
Well, I turn at the pipe, the big pipe on the beach. I turn back. But yeah,
it's a beautiful beach.
Yeah, it's just like listening to two foreigners talking about stuff I don't know. That's what it's like, isn't it? No. Well, it's been a real pleasure, Tom, for you to come in. It's been fascinating listening to you. I love the way you talk about football. It's
good. Yeah,
that's what I've been brought up with Dario and crew and all that stuff, and it's been a real pleasure. We wish you all the best in your future. And if you do end up back in work, obviously we wish you all the success in that.
Thank you, gentlemen.
No problem. Pleasure. Thank you very much, Tom.
Top man.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Weeds.